It's so important that we are in this location. Kind of the gateway to mental health services here in Fredericton is with our Victoria Health Center, and within it is a wonderful NGO. It's the Capital City Mental Health and Addictions. So it's very fortunate that we're able to present in front of these critical buildings for our services here in Fredericton. This announcement today means so much to me personally. I asked for it to be where we deliver our platform on mental health. It's so important. Door after door that I'm knocking on, this matters to Frederictonians. It matters to me. My background in education over the last 10 years has exposed to me the very critical need of our youth in particular and where we're failing them in mental health services. So it's really crucial that we make this a key flagship of our campaign here in Fredericton. Without further ado, I'm very pleased to announce Elizabeth May. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Merci mille fois. Merci, Jenica. Jenica Atwin, notre candidate ici à Fredericton, the next member of Parliament for Fredericton, Jenica Atwin, who, and everything she just said is exactly right. We are launching certain planks of our platform as we cross the country. Later today, we'll be not only in other stops in New Brunswick, we'll be by the end of the day in Charlottetown and so on. But we try to listen to what our local candidates say is their top issue. So when we were in Winnipeg on Saturday, we talked about the issue of illicit drugs, drug addiction, and also mental health supports. And here we are in Fredericton, where Jenica specifically said, can we talk about the Green Party of Canada's commitment to improve mental health? I'm very proud of our platform. It's detailed. It provides solutions across the whole range of things that are on the minds of Canadians. Je suis tellement fière d'avoir une plateforme qui était vraiment compréhensive, qui touche à tous les concerns des Canadiens et Canadiennes, les concerns sur justice sociale, la situation des peuples autochtones et, bien sûr, sur la question du changement climatique et maintenant l'urgence du changement climatique. But we're also very, very concerned about a wide range of health issues. We need to renegotiate the Canada Health Accord, and in so doing, we need to ensure that mental health is treated as a critical aspect of our healthcare system. We've talked too long about the need for mental health supports. We've tweeted and retweeted Bell Let's Talk. It's time for government to step up and fund the mental health supports Canadians need. So I'm pleased to announce that in our full platform, and of course I hope you've seen it online, we speak to restoring the federal, provincial, territorial health accord, ensuring that health transfers reflect the demographics of a region. I certainly know that my colleague who's here today, David Kuhn, as leader of New Brunswick Greens, has made the point to me and often that New Brunswick has a population that has more seniors than many of the other of our provinces, and we need more support for seniors in our health accord. We need that the health transfers reflect the fact that New Brunswick has an aging population, as all Canada is. Of course, we are demographically shifting from my generation. I'm the tail end of the baby boomers, born in 1954, so 65 this year. And I reflect what a lot of us are experiencing as older Canadians, needing to have healthcare services that meet the needs of an aging Canada, and particularly for New Brunswick. Je veux dire seulement quelques mots au sujet de mon homologue David Kuhn, chef de Parti vert ici au Nouveau-Brunswick, qui a fait un job magnifique et qui aussi a souligné fréquemment que nous avons besoin ici au Nouveau-Brunswick pour les peuples âgés. So we also speak to the need for Indigenous mental health supports. We speak to the needs across the board of mental health supports, and specifically for suicide prevention strategies. I'm pleased to tell you that in the platform budget, which will be released in more detail later this week, we've put $1.2 billion a year, every year, towards community treatment centers to deal with mental health supports, addiction supports, and issues relating to autism. Families with kids with autism need a lot more help. It's not a mental health issue. It's a matter of basic health needs. We also have $100 million every year to suicide prevention and $100 million every year to deal with the opioid crisis. Maintenant, tout le monde comprend bien que c'est une crise maintenant. Les soins de santé universels sont attaqués. En tant que Canadiens et Canadiennes, nous sommes fiers de notre compassion et de nos filets de sécurité sociale. Mais, en même temps, nous comprenons bien que le système de santé, les soins de santé manque le financement pour la santé mentale. This is the election to make mental health a key election issue, to demand of all parties that they make firm commitments that we can track and follow up and insist upon after the election is over. Whatever form Parliament takes after October 21st, I will predict it will be unusual. I will predict that we will see the kinds of formations we haven't seen in some time. It is certainly my deepest hope that Parliament after this election is not a majority government of any of the major parties. They can't be trusted. We need to have a minority Parliament with lots more Greens elected so that we can make sure people keep their promises. We will keep our promise, you have my word. Mental health supports are critical. And as Jenica said, far too many families struggle wondering what to do with severe depression in their children. Adolescent teens, as young as 11, I've talked to moms looking for emergency support because kids as young as 11 are suicidal and they can't find the supports in the system they need. The situation in the communities in Nunavut among Inuit youth are the most devastating. We need a suicide prevention strategy and we need it now. We need mental health supports and we need them now. Merci mille fois. Je suis disponible pour les questions en anglais ou français. And thank you all for being here. Jenica, come back up here and stand with me. I'd like all the Green Party federal candidates, come on up here. Got Tim, Rowan, who else is here? Tim Thompson from Fundy Royal, Susan Jonah from New Brunswick. There you are, Susan. New Brunswick Southwest. And also Rowan Miller, Tobic Mactaquac. Have I missed any candidates? Anyway, stick with me. And don't look bored like behind all those other leaders. A green economy in New Brunswick and a green economy across Canada starts with recognizing that we're going off fossil fuels. New Brunswick is very well placed for, because it's the economy, as David Kuhn often says, given the size of this economy, we can innovate here. We can prove things here. The economy here should not be obviously dependent on fossil fuels. One key piece of our economic transition is an investment in a Canadian grid strategy, an electricity grid coast to coast to coast with 100% renewable sources of electricity. The jobs in New Brunswick that will be made possible by our plan, Mission Possible, are particularly for carpenters, electricians, and plumbers in a massive retrofit program for every building. At the same time, we know that sustainable local economies are grown by small business. We need to support small business and basically an ecosystem of small businesses where money that's spent in community stays in the community.
And so the NDP has a really solid position on abortion and national unity. What do you guys think about that?
We have the same solid position. What I find disturbing is that the NDP keeps saying there's something funny about our position because it's the same as their position. So I think I'm all for recycling. I've said this before. I'm a big believer in recycling. But the NDP has to stop recycling the same lies every day.
And do you think New Brunswick is too racist to support Singh?
Absolutely not. New Brunswick isn't racist. It's outrageous. Canadians are Canadians, and across this country, let's face it, the events of the last week make it very clear we've had a mirror held up to ourselves, and guess what? No shock to those of us who've worked in social justice for some time, there is systemic racism in Canada. That's a fact. It's something we need to confront. It's something we need to call out. But New Brunswickers are, and historically have always been, committed to community, to friendship, to open arms towards refugees. I can't imagine why anyone would make that assumption.
Connaissant les résultats du Parti vert au Nouveau-Brunswick durant les dernières élections provinciales, quels sont vos espoirs? Qu'est-ce qui est réaliste pour le Parti vert du Canada au Nouveau-Brunswick?
Ouais, rien n'est impossible. Ouais. Je suis vraiment optimiste avec les prospects, l'avenir pour le Parti vert au niveau fédéral ici au Nouveau-Brunswick. Nous avons les candidats et aussi dans chaque circonscription, bien sûr. Je vais faire les autres événements avec les autres candidats ici au Nouveau-Brunswick parce que nous avons les espoirs réalistiques d'avoir un percée au niveau fédéral ici au Nouveau-Brunswick. Plus peut-être, mais seulement quelques députés.
Est-ce que c'est la première fois depuis que vous êtes à la tête du parti que vous sentez, que vous avez l'impression d'avoir une percée au niveau fédéral pour le Parti vert avec les résultats qu'on a connus?
Ouais. Pas la première fois, mais maintenant nous avons pour la première fois une très bonne chance. Dans les dernières élections, ici à Fredericton, j'ai fait le porte-à-porte ici à Fredericton parce qu'après les élections de David Kuhn comme chef du Parti vert de Nouveau-Brunswick, j'ai réalisé que le terrain est fertile pour le Parti vert sur le terrain ici au Nouveau-Brunswick. Et j'adore notre ancien candidat, mais aussi j'adore notre actuel candidat maintenant, Jenica Atwin. Et je pense qu'ici, Tim Thompson a la très bonne réponse porte-à-porte dans sa circonscription. Ce n'est pas la première fois, mais maintenant, la deuxième fois où j'ai le même espoir, c'est plus réalistique.
Peut-être en regardant juste mon collègue ici, pouvez-vous nous dire quelle circonscription on cible, où on se sent le plus compétitif?
Je veux dire, parce que je pense que rien n'est impossible, mais évidemment, ici à Fredericton, à Moncton, aussi dans Beau-Séjour. Nous avons les candidats extraordinaires. Ici, aussi Fundy Royal, ce n'est pas possible de mentionner seulement un ou deux parce que je pense que nous avons les résultats, pour moi, vraiment, avec les sondages internals, je suis étonnée avec le niveau d'appui. Et aussi vraiment heureuse avec le niveau d'appui. Il y a des autres questions.
Just one, Elizabeth. So you sat beside Max Bernier in the House, of course.
Yes,
He's going to be in the debate.
yes.
He got in the debate because a bunch of people signed a form. We discovered, looking over the 250 people who signed your official thing, a whole bunch of leaders from racist organizations, white supremacists. These are all the people who are the founders of the People's Party. They're going to be next to Bernier in this debate. I wonder what you think about that these people are signing on and getting parties going, and whether Bernier should be there.
For years, as you'll know, David, I've struggled with the opaque rules of the consortium. I finally got through every hurdle to be included in the National Leaders Debate in 2015, only to have the NDP work with the Conservatives to get the debate cancelled. I'm so frustrated with the backroom dealings, the quite anti-democratic approach to these debates over many years. Now we have, and I commend Minister Karina Gould for having put in place a Leaders Debate Commission. You can't fault the Liberals' choice of chair. Our former Governor General, David Johnson, who I find, he was put in place by Stephen Harper as our Governor General. It's funny to have the Conservatives, when this first came out, attack it as a Liberal plot to steal the election. I am quoting what was said in the House over and over again. But how can it be a Liberal plot to steal the election when the person put in place was the one trusted by Stephen Harper to be the head of state on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen? So David Johnson is a fair-minded person. The criteria that the Debates Commission was given were fair and transparent. He's made a determination. It will be for him to decide if he thinks it's inappropriate. I think that in a democracy, one can't be afraid of any ideas. We can take them apart limb from limb in the debate. But if it's fair and if the criteria are transparent, then that creates a fair situation. I don't think it's at all fair that the other leaders are prepared to go into a debate with TVA. Le débat sur TVA, ce n'est pas égal, il n'y a pas le règlement. C'est clair que les autres chefs de libéral, conservateur, NPD, Bloc québécois, ont un seul concern, que la seule femme qui est un chef d'un parti, c'est clair que je suis la seule femme qui était le chef d'un parti au niveau fédéral, mais le débat va continuer sans moi. Je pense que le débat de TVA, pour moi, c'est plus une source d'inquiétude que le débat des chefs avec Maxime Bernier. Je pense qu'il manque d'appui sur le Parti populaire, mais il a fait les preuves à M. Johnson, et M. Johnson a dit qu'il était maintenant invité.
I guess just maybe just to focus it a bit less on the debates, the idea that there is a party in Canada that is basically founded by people who are avowed card-carrying Nazi sympathizers and white supremacists, despite learning.
It's deeply shocking, and I find I never thought we'd hear the term white supremacists or neo-Nazis. I think the effect of what's happened in U.S. politics has given oxygen to opinions, to views, to prejudices, to hatreds that I thought were long annihilated. I mean, it's one thing to recognize systemic racism in a country. It's another to think that there's any space whatsoever. And I've seen Mr. Scheer play footsie with some of these groups. It needs to be called out. It needs to be denounced. But I don't know that at this point one can say that any view, well, how do I put this? In a debate, if they've met the rules, this information may give our former Governor General cause to reconsider the decision that's been taken. It's horrific, and these groups need to be called out. Right now, I will say clearly that I think that a lot of the efforts of CSIS and the RCMP are misdirected towards Indigenous activists and environmentalists and other groups that are potentially that they like to snoop around. The single biggest threat to security in terms of a Canadian organization that threatens our security is white supremacists. That should be a focus of concern far more than, as we know has been done in the past, placing saboteurs and agents provocateurs within environmental groups or within Indigenous organizations. And I would call that out. I would say we need to pay attention to white supremacy in this country and make sure that groups that practice that appalling ideology are called out and that they are treated for what they are, a danger to society.
Madame May, vous avez répondu pour le Nouveau-Brunswick, mais vous avez un programme chargé, vous allez vous promener à Halifax, Charlottetown.
Ouais.
Dis-moi, quelles sont vos impressions pour cette élection?
Yeah. Oui, nous avons l'espoir, c'est clair. Dans les prochaines 3 journées, à cause de comme le Parti vert a un plan pour notre campagne fédérale pour la tournée de chef, pour une tournée sans carbone. Pour ça, nous n'avons pas un avion, notre propre avion, mais j'ai fait le voyage dans les prochaines 3 journées dans les véhicules électriques avec les bénévoles qui font le job de chauffeur pour nous dans leur Tesla. C'est vraiment bon comme façon de voyager. Alors, je vais faire les événements aujourd'hui ici à Fredericton, puis à Moncton, à Sackville demain, Charlottetown ce soirée et encore Sackville encore mardi et mercredi à Halifax pour une conférence de presse tellement importante. Et après ça, un autre, c'est tellement fun. Je vais prendre le train de Halifax vendredi et faire les whistle stops à Truro, Amherst, Sackville, Moncton et Bathurst. So, il va donner pour nous l'occasion de faire les visites dans quelques circonscriptions pour donner l'appui pour les candidats verts dans Nouveau-Brunswick, Nouvelle-Écosse et aussi Île-de-France-Édouard. Et au Terre-Neuve, j'ai mes espoirs aussi. Mais la région atlantique a décidé, je pense qu'il y a plusieurs des électeurs qui ont décidé qu'ils sont absolument déçus avec les autres. C'est difficile de voter encore libéral, difficile de voter encore conservateur au NPD. So I benefit from the failure of the big three parties to convince people that there's any reason to believe them anymore. People want an ethical choice. They want someone hardworking. And they want to know that there's a vision for the future, not just slagging other people. And I think that's why we're picking up support in Nova Scotia, in New Brunswick, in Prince Edward Island, and in Newfoundland and Labrador.
C'est la première fois que vous faites tous ces arrêts-là ici, dans les régions de l'Atlantique?
Dans les dernières 2 semaines, mais aujourd'hui, cette tournée, c'est la 3e fois dans 2019 que j'étais ici au Nouveau-Brunswick pour une tournée des audiences publiques en février, encore en mois de juillet pour l'Assemblée nationale des Premières Nations du Canada à Fredericton en juillet. Et maintenant, c'est la 3e fois en 2019. Any other questions?
The plan to decriminalize drug possession, what sort of arguments do you make against other
Other?
efforts to defend that?
Well, we're in a national health crisis. Other parties have not been prepared to say it. I think the New Democrats are prepared to say it. The opioid crisis has claimed thousands of lives in this country. We cannot pretend that this is a matter for criminal justice. This is a health care crisis. It's a public health emergency. And we think the experience in Portugal is a very good demonstration of what can happen when you don't make it very clear. We're not in favor of legalizing illicit drugs. We were the first party in Canada, by the way, to call for legalization of cannabis. This is a very different issue with a very different rationale. We need to provide health care, addiction supports, mental health supports. We need to stop people from dying because of an addiction crisis. It touches a lot of families. I lost my sister-in-law. My husband John's sister, as you probably know, is Margot Kidder, and we lost her just a little over a year ago. Our mental health and addiction critic on Shadow Cabinet is our candidate in Victoria, the next Member of Parliament for Victoria, Russell Coy. She's a strong Indigenous woman and dedicated her campaign to her brother who died 10 years ago, again, from issues relating to mental health and addiction. There are very few families where someone hasn't been touched by this. And if we treat it as a criminal justice issue, it will not be solved. We will not save lives. So decriminalization, safe supply, more harm reduction strategies to make sure that we actually reach people and help them become healthy again so they can contribute to society, have families, pay their taxes, get past the horrific demons. And a lot of these were created by prescription drugs. Margie's started from prescription drugs, and they're highly addictive. We need to take the steps that save lives. Is there other questions from journalists? I'm not sure if you were a journalist. I probably shouldn't. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Any other journalists?
Vous avez répondu à l'économie verte
L'économie verte? Oui. Ouais.
en Atlantique pour terminer en France.
OK. Nous sommes maintenant, c'est clair, parce que nous avons voté dans le Parlement de Canada que nous sommes maintenant dans une situation d'urgence climatique. Malheureusement, le lendemain, le Premier ministre annonce un autre oléoduc avec plus de 10 ou 13 milliards de fonds dans les subventions publiques pour cet oléoduc. Mais pour nous comme Verts, maintenant, la situation est claire. C'est exactement le même message que Greta Thunberg. Ce n'est pas un moment pour les petites étapes. Ce n'est pas un moment pour les chefs d'annonce, les petites étapes qui sont absolument insuffisantes pour notre situation actuellement. today, of course, is the day of the Global Climate Summit at the United Nations, where Antonio Guterres has called world leaders together to say we're running out of time. We need to more than redouble efforts. Pour nous converser clair, dans situation d'urgence climatique, on doit éliminer notre dépendance sur l'énergie fossile, absolument par l'année 2050, et double notre cible. Actuellement, notre cible pour réduction de gaz à effet de serre, c'est le même que M. Harper a mis sur pied. Le même, pas changé. Donc, 4 années avec un gouvernement libéral, notre cible reste le même. Et c'est absolument insuffisant pour éviter la catastrophe d'une augmentation de réchauffement de terre de plus de 1,5 degrés Celsius. Notre plan, mission possible, c'est vraiment possible. Ce n'est pas mission facile, mission possible. On doit faire les efforts imprécédents pour éliminer les décisions de status quo. On doit le faire et nous avons un plan pour le faire. Pour Nouveau-Brunswick, c'est un moment pour les autres sources d'énergie renouvelables. Pour nous, et c'est clair que c'est bon pour l'économie de Nouveau-Brunswick de faire les choses pour réduire les coûts de vie, réduire les coûts d'énergie pour chez nous en l'hiver avec les coûts de réchauffement de nos maisons, avec les étapes pour efficacité énergétique. Nous sommes absolument sur la même page que nos cousins provinciaux, que David Kuhn et le Parti vert Nouveau-Brunswick, Kevin Arsenault, puis Megan Mitten, a fait l'effort pour changer la direction de l'économie ici au Nouveau-Brunswick vers une économie verte. Ce n'est pas nécessairement l'économie de M. Irving, tous les Irving, mais on doit le faire. Merci.
I have one question. I'm just going to get a little closer.
How are you? I saw you come in late. I wanted to wave hi. Hi.
I hope that doesn't
Is that okay?
interrupt anybody's shot. I just, you probably already answered this, but Jagmeet Singh is spending the first day on his campaign, but really in the 2 years he's been leader in New Brunswick. And he said essentially to that, my bad. He said, I'm sorry, that's my bad, that was a mistake. You've been here several times, and you're going to be making this Atlantic Canadian tour. Why do you think it's important to acknowledge the Maritimes in this campaign?
Well, first of all, in the last 7 months, I've been in every province in Canada, at least once, multiple times, and I've been in the Northwest Territories, and not that long ago in Whitehorse. So anyone who thinks that they have what it takes to serve their country as Prime Minister needs to know the country, needs to have gone to all parts of the country to listen. So the Community Matters Tour I did 34 different community stops since the middle of February of this year, every province. And I happen to have been in New Brunswick 3 times this year, since January 2019, but if you go by the calendar year, it's a 12-month cycle, it's 4 times. I happen to be a Cape Bretoner. I describe myself as bi-coastal, okay? I live in British Columbia. I call Cape Breton still my family home. But I know every part of this country in between. There isn't a place that I can get dropped down in this country where I can't pick up the phone and say, can I stay at your house? It's important to understand the Atlantic provinces. It's important to visit New Brunswick, PEI, and Nova Scotia to understand the maritime issues. How can you think you can be Prime Minister if you've never heard of Boat Harbor and what's going on in Pictou? How do you think you can be Prime Minister if you don't know the day-to-day struggles of people in New Brunswick, where the changing of the healthcare system so that one region, one hospital has the main job of cardiac work and another has the cancer lead role, and if you live in Bathurst and the only way to get from Bathurst to Moncton is to get on a dangerous icy road in winter, if you don't understand the importance of bus service in the maritime provinces, if you don't understand the issues of fishing, the fishery rules of DFO in Atlantic Canada are completely different than they are in British Columbia. If you don't travel this country and listen to people, I don't think you're qualified to be Prime Minister. by the way, in case anyone was wondering, I'm very convinced that I am qualified to be Prime Minister. I will step on my own line and say I don't think it's likely in this election, but it would be a very good idea. Thank you very much for coming.
I second that.
Okay. Get elected. Merci. By the way, I'm really proud. I forgot to mention our stats for our federal candidates. In New Brunswick, the federal candidates for the Green Party of Canada are 60% women. Not that I don't like the men. I always say I don't mind old white guys. I just married one. But